Everybody, I'm here today with my period 5-6 class, and we're going to be talking about the proper way to go through your vocabulary words when you start a new unit. This is important in being able to understand what these vocabulary words mean. If you're just going through them quickly to get to the actual activity, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. It would be like not listening to your coach explain the play and then running out on the field and expecting to know what to do. We are going to ignore these definitions. And I do want you to know that right now, this vocabulary unit is not necessarily what you will be assigned. When you get your vocab books after everybody's done with iReady, you might have a book that's different than the people you sit next to, but you will be allowed to work with somebody who's working in your level when we're working on vocab. So looking at this first word, aggressive, has anybody ever heard of that word? Raise your hand. Anybody heard the word aggressive? Good. A lot of you. So good. Underneath this word, I'd like you to notice this right here. A lot of kids don't notice this. Do you know what this is doing right here? Yes. It's kind of spelling it out. Bryce, what were you going to say? Because your hand was up.
I was going to say it spells it out.
It does kind of spell it out. It actually is. It's the pronunciation. So the upside down E is a schwa and it makes an sound. Aggressive. You can also see it's broken into 3 parts. So aggressive. It's 3-syllable word. Okay? When we move over, nobody should be writing anything now, but you're looking at your own paper. You're not looking at anybody else. You're going to see the first thing that we come to is the part of speech, and it's abbreviated. And it says ADJ. If you don't know, over here it tells you what it is. It's an adjective. It's a describing word. An adjective describes a noun, a person, place, or thing. Not you. That's lunch A. Or a pronoun. Will you get the door, please, Aubrey? Go ahead and read what this is. Go ahead and read this definition for us, please, Dylan.
Quick to fight or quarrel, tending to violence, bold, and forceful, determined.
Great. Any word you don't know in that? Quarrel means argue. Quarrel means argue. I want you to circle this, please. There is a punctuation mark called a semicolon between the word violence and bold. If you come to a semicolon, it is just like a period with a little bit of a difference in that it means these 2 parts actually connect in some way. But it acts like a period, also separating the 2 parts. That's important because there's actually 2 different feelings or 2 definitions for this word. One of the definitions, it says quick to fight or argue, tending to be violent. This reminds me of like a dog that might be too aggressive and ends up biting somebody, maybe a child in the face, and ends up getting put down because of it, right? And then the second part of the definition, bold and forceful or determined, reminds me more of an athlete who's just really going for, being very determined to get to the ball and to score a goal. So we can see there's 2 different kinds of feelings to this word. The first part is kind of a bad thing. The second part is kind of more of a good feeling. Okay? Then we're going to get a sample sentence, and we have to fill the word in. It says, an aggressive. So go ahead and fill the word in with a pen or pencil, not your highlighter. An aggressive salesperson never gives up. An aggressive salesperson never gives up. So if you've ever gotten those phone calls, right, and somebody calls over and over again trying to sell you something, or maybe somebody sends you 426 emails to buy something from the yearbook fundraiser. Aggressive. Is that the first definition? Quick to fight, tending to violence, or is it more the second, bold and forceful, determined? It's the second. It's more like determined, right? Because it says never gives up. Good. And then last we have synonyms. 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 That's right. Synonyms means something that is similar, or you could put the same. These are words that are similar or the same. So if you were going to write a sentence with aggressive, you should be able to take one of these words and replace it. The aggressive soccer player made his way to the wing and crossed the ball. The pushy soccer player made his way to the wing and crossed the ball. That makes sense. Okay, we could take one of those words and replace it. Then we have antonyms. What does anti mean? It means opposite, right? So we have opposites. Anti means against or opposite. So for synonyms, violent and warlike, And that matches the first part of the definition. We know that because there's a semicolon. And then pushy and vigorous. Vigorous is another word you may not know. It means full of vigor, which means life. Vigor. If you are in Spanish, you may have heard of the word vivir. It means to live. If you are in French, you may have heard of vivre, joie de vivre. It means life. And that's similar. Opposites, peaceful, timid. And then we've got the semicolon. So we know that peaceful and timid are the opposite of fighting or arguing or violence. And then shy, bashful, and retiring are like somebody who is timid, somebody who isn't determined. They kind of hold back. Okay? So those are opposites. Questions so far about aggressive. Now I've got my highlighter, the last piece of this, and this is taking longer because I'm talking through it. This is called a think aloud. If you were doing this by yourself, it would not take this long. All right? But now I'm going to take my highlighter and highlight up to 5 words that help me remember this word. Now you already know this word, I understand, but I still want you to highlight up to 5 words that would help you. I'm going to highlight quick to fight. That's a phrase. I can highlight that as 1. I'm going to highlight determined. That's 2 in bold. And I like to sometimes highlight words in the synonyms. So I'm going to highlight pushy. Those help me. I have 4 things I highlighted. All right, we're going to take a look at a part of the next word, but we're not going to do the whole thing. Now, if you're at home doing this and finishing this for homework, because there'll be a homework assignment, and you don't have a highlighter, you could use a colored pencil and underline it or circle it, or just use a pen and circle it or underline it. Okay, if you have a marker and it's dark, please don't mark over the word because you won't be able to see it. So when we look at this word, we see that there are 2 pronunciations. One is for the verb form and one is for the noun and adjective form. And again, if you look over here, it tells you what those things mean. So for the verb form, it is associate, associate, the verb form. And for the noun and adjective, it's associate, associate. So there's 2 different ways to pronounce it depending on how you're using it. If you are hanging out with your friends at the dance, it is a verb. You are associating with them. If you are talking about a pal on your team, you would call them an associate. Weird. Anyway, let's take a look. We've got the verb. It means to join or be together as partners, allies or friends. To link, and then we see that semicolon again. Remember, that means a separate kind of definition. To link in one's mind or connect. I will always associate, which means to connect, peaches with summer. Because I got my peaches out in Georgia. Anybody? Hey, you guys live for me singing. Don't lie about it. So, Ryan, did you get one of these papers? Did you get one of these? Awesome. Then the noun form means a partner or a friend, and we can see those are related. We've got to be together as partners. And then we've got a partner. To be together. Anytime you see something that starts with 2, it means an action. Anything that's got a in front of it, it means a noun, a thing, or a person. The businessman introduced his associate. Why? I know, it's funny, isn't it? I almost laughed so hard. I almost just laughed so hard I peed my pants. Okay. Then last, we've got an adjective, which means a describing word, having less than a full rank. A rank you probably heard of for an officer. In this case, it means a title. So you may be the associate superintendent. Or in this case, we see an example. She was hired as an associate professor, which means teacher, an assistant in the science department. So let's fill that in. Filling that in with a pen or pencil. What you are going to be inclined or want to do is just fill those blanks in without looking at the example sentences. You're just hurting yourself when it comes to the harder work, okay? And then last, the synonyms. The verb is to unite, which means to come together like unity, to mingle, combine, mix, or relate. The noun is a companion, a teammate, or a coworker. And then the adjective is an assistant. Opposites. The verb, to separate, distance, divorce. Noun, an enemy, foe, rival, or stranger. Now what do I do last but not least, guys? With my highlighter, I'm going to highlight up to 5 words. I'm going to highlight one from each definition. I'm going to highlight to join as partners, a partner, and then I'm actually going to highlight down here assistant because that helps me remember the last one. If you don't remember this video will be in Google Classroom under September. Your homework tonight is 3, 4, and 5. You're going to read it, fill in the blank, and then highlight, or if you don't have a highlighter at home, underline or circle the up to 5 words. Yeah, I know. That's why I know, Dryston. All right, at home, you know what you're doing. You need this pink packet, so if you don't have it, you'll have to grab it from me. And if you haven't noticed, guys, all the papers we've been using are on that front desk. So if you lose something, there's extras there. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Bye, everyone at home.